In John chapter 6, there's a place where Jesus says, you must eat my flesh and drink my blood. There's been a debate over the years as to whether or not that's a good Lord's Supper's a good text for the Lord's Supper or not, whether Jesus was thinking about that. And whether he was or he wasn't, I don't think that he was. I think that he's talking there about, taking all that Jesus is and incorporating it into ourselves. I mean, if he's the bread from heaven, then he is coming to give us life. And then so he kind of puts this on more on a sort of a shock value by saying, you must eat my flesh and drink my blood, something that they weren't supposed to do normally. But in doing that, I think it says we take and incorporate all that he is into our lives. But I think in reality, when we take the Lord's Supper, we can't help but think about the idea that here, we are, first of all, remembering his body. And when we take the bread, we are remembering that he is sacrificed for us. He is doing this on our behalf. He is taking the stroke due to us. He is giving his life to give us back our life. And then his blood, he says, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. And so his blood then inaugurates a new covenant. And so while we praise God, we praise God and remember Jesus for his redemption in the Lord's Supper, we also are reminded of the fact that in taking the fruit of the vine, that his blood his blood inaugurates a new covenant. And we are now binding ourselves to live by that. So in John chapter 6, Jesus says, you must take who I am into your life and incorporate it and live like I want you to. Jesus came to show us how to live the kind of life that God wanted from us from the beginning. And Jesus says you do that by just taking all that I am and bringing it into your life like you're consuming me. And there's no suggestion, I think, that when we take the Lord's Supper that we're saving ourselves, but we're reminding ourselves that Jesus has saved us. But nonetheless, I think that it's one can't help but see the connections there. And so I hope that as you take the Lord's Supper, that you remember that Jesus gave himself for you so that you can be free. He inaugurated a new covenant. Now, having taken the Lord's Supper and remembering the death and the burial of Jesus, the body that he gave on our behalf and the blood that he shed, that you remember now as you leave services or as you go out into your daily life, that Jesus calls you to live differently. And you take the Lord's Supper to say that you have received the life that he gave, the new life that he gave you, and now you're going out to live that life. But today we remember his death and the shed blood so that we can appreciate what he has given us.